Hey YouTube, Gunded73 making another episode of Knife Talk, and today I'm going to be talking about knife lubrication in terms of like oil and grease, whatnot. Now this is not for rust prevention. This is just for like the action of the blade, the pivot, whatnot. Really, I mean, every once in a while it's always nice to just oil up your knives because they do kind of get gunky or dried out or whatever. And just a drop of penetrating oil like what I have here. This is Hoppy's number 9 lubricating oil. It's mostly for guns. I think that's the main thing for this. But let me focus this. It says for all mechanisms. I bought this for I think $4 for this much. I bought this bottle probably 4 or 5 years ago, and I still have not emptied it. So I mean, a bottle of this size of oil will last you an insanely long period of time. But really, I mean, this is more than suitable. I mean, I've used this on pretty much everything I own, from like my military, my Sebenza, pretty much everything. And just recently, I bought something a bit more specialized. I bought the Chris Reeve fluorinated grease. Whoopsie. So you can see here, this is more expensive. I bought this from Plaza Cutlery in their store, and it was $11.50. But this small little tube of this will last me probably an insanely long amount of time, because truly a little bit goes a long way. You only need a drop to really just loosen up a knife or anything really. So I mean, one knife I lubed with this Chris Reeve grease was my military. It wasn't super like gunked up or anything, but now it has that same buttery smooth action as my Sebenza does, which is nice. And the advantage of, say, grease to an oil, now it sort of goes like anything, there's some give and take. The oil is less viscous, meaning it's thinner, it's runnier. It's akin to, say, just as an example, soy sauce. It's very runny. Now the advantage of that in, say, a folding knife is that since it's very thin, the knife will want to fly open. That's sort of what you get, which in the case of oil, that's pretty much the whole point. You want something to move easier. But it'll sort of run through the knife really quickly too. It'll, like, say if you get it wet, it'll tend to wash out. And like if, let's say you just put a couple drops of oil right there, it'll run through the other side and it'll kind of get messy. Like an example of that is on my tilt, where I just put a drop of oil, and you could see that oily sheen around the pivot and right here. That's because the oil is just sort of just really running out the side. The grease doesn't do that. The grease stays in place longer, and especially on a newer Sebenza that has the perforated washers, those perforations hold this grease in for an insane amount of time. So you don't need to take your knife apart and clean it as often. So let's just say, not even that, just lube it, but I mean, let's say this lasts a month, and this lasts 4 months in a standard knife, and maybe a year with those perforated washers. It could be that much, I mean, like, I also recently I greased my small Sebenza, and it's like butter. I mean, I can't really show you, but I mean, it's just so, the action is a lot better on this. I think Chris Reeve knives really work best with this grease, which is, I mean, it's kind of funny. Their proprietary stuff tends to work better. I mean, most companies will say that, but you can use anything. You can use this, but I like the feel of this better, if that makes sense, on the knife. So these are the two of the stuff I use. I know other people use things like mineral oil. They could use like 3-in-1, Militech, all that stuff. I mean, whatever works for you, this is what works for me. So thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate the views and the requests, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.